Sasquatch, ghost, dogman, aliens, demons, shadow people, skinwalkers, even the Fae. Our universe is vast, dark, and wrought with infinite unexplained phenomena. We have tasked ourselves with assisting humanity in finding the keys to unlock the mysteries that abound in and around our world. What we intend to reveal behind the curtain of darkness may very well invoke those fears long tucked away in our memories. We will meet that fear head on as we strive to shine the light of understanding on these phenomena. The goal is to arm you with the power of knowledge to confront and even combat these entities. We welcome you to join us on our quest. We are Midwest Night Watchers.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome to Piercing the Veil. Tonight we have Eric Wood from Paranormal Highway. You might have seen us in his chat if you've been to his channel. So make sure you go over to Paranormal Highway on YouTube and all the socials and subscribe and join his chats. He's got great shows. I think almost like every day he's on.
Yeah, almost every morning.
So we'll go ahead and bring Eric up and we'll get going.
Yeah,
Hi,
I think I've been doing live shows. Like I average like 4 a week: Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. I usually take Wednesday off. You know, little give and take. Sometimes I switch it around, but mostly Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
We've seen you on your shows and Jessica Jones's Cryptid Huntress shows and
everyone else's chat. Yeah, I see you in everyone's chat also.
Yeah, I try to do that morning spot so I don't interfere with their spots, you know. So when I'm done, I can watch their shows. Because you're right, Jessica Jones, sometimes she does hers at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and she has a night show. Then her stuff on oh my god, I'm having a freeze. The radio show.
Face.radio.
Radio.
Yeah.
Don't you hate that? We just have a mental freeze.
We picked 6 p.m. on purpose just to try to be on before everybody else gets started.
Yeah.
So you're Midwest, so technically for me it's 4 p.m.
Yeah. Yep.
That's true. Now you still have your brother on. Is there a certain day that he joins you on your show?
He comes on Fridays.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, on Fridays you got your brother.
Except for this last Friday, I did a volunteer thing at the VA hospital. I do usually the day before Veterans Day and all that. So we didn't do one this last Friday.
So look forward to next Friday. Yeah, he's definitely a hoot.
He's one of a kind. One of a kind. I tell everybody, if you're gonna go watch his channel, you better get yourself some popcorn. Get your, you gotta have a lot of patience. I've seen it, guys. I've seen it where sometimes he fell asleep once. And he left it on all night, and people were just watching him sleep. So you never know what you're gonna get.
Wow.
You want unpredictable and raw? That's his channel. Unpredictable and it's raw. There is nothing scripted about his channel.
Yeah, we've noticed that.
Yeah, he was purposely trying to test the algorithm the other night on songs to see if he can get a strike. Well, the song that he was playing, Gerald knew what it was. And so Gerald typed it in, and your brother went, "No way. You don't know that song. How old are you?" So Gerald said, 60. And he went, "Oh, well, that's why you know the song." It was great.
Well, most of the time, songs don't usually get you a strike. They just do that sharing revenue where they get all your money or whatever.
Oh.
Or there are a few, like if you play a live show with Ozzy Osbourne, I think AC/DC, that your video can be shut down during a live show. So there's certain
I've
artists
heard
that
where
they
they
shut
actually
down.
give you a chance to edit the audio out of it or the song.
No. If you play it during live, sometimes your show will be frozen for like 3-5 minutes, and then it'll come back on. But
Oh,
but they do that on purpose. Or and sometimes when the video is done, because it's happened before with me, because I actually did a paranormal with another person, another friend, on Ozzy Osbourne, because he was doing all those paranormal TV shows with his son. And I think I played one of his songs. Now, it didn't take the video off while we're live, but when we got off, the video was like locked out to be seen until I edit that song out.
oh, okay.
Because Sharon Osbourne don't let none of her husband's songs go out for free. None. You know, I'm surprised when I did one of my cartoon series with the band Kiss in it. I'm surprised that Kiss said, "Hey, you're not giving us a penny." We're So I'm so surprised that cartoon one is still up with Kiss in it.
Yeah, Gene watches his stuff really closely.
Gene's all about the money.
Oh yeah.
But hey, that's why he's worth $410 million, you know?
Well, I really liked your episode on Jessica where you were talking about the Civil War paranormal and stuff. I thought maybe we'd start off with some of those stories or something if you have something to share.
Yeah. What happened to you and your brother?
You know, just this Friday, I put together that story into a video. Hold on, let me see if I can get that for you. Let me see, where did I put it? Here, Gettysburg time. Here, because I did it in depth with it. Let me see if I can. Let me see here. There it is. Let me see here. Let me go to settings here. Well, not settings. Can I? Present video file. Let me see here. Let me get it for you in a second. Gettysburg. Gettysburg time travel. Paranormal. You see that right there?
Yep,
I made a 340-minute video about the whole story. I don't know if you just want to play that video and then we could talk about it. It's only 3-4 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
It explains it very, very, very well.
All right. Yeah,
there's no copyright on it. Just let you guys know there's no copyright on it because I made it.
Okay.
Weekends, due to our strong dislike for Frederick, we consistently chose to visit Gettysburg, PA. The town held a certain enchantment that captivated us. On May 12th, my brother Bob, who works as an archaeologist at the Smithsonian, ventured into a restricted room. Despite the prohibition, his professional curiosity led him to witness something highly classified.
I just paused for a second to let everybody know my brother graduated from the University of Washington as an archaeologist. Just so people know, I know when they watch him on his channel, he looks kind of crazy to them, but he actually is an archaeologist who graduated from the University of Washington. And at this time, when I moved to Frederick, Maryland, because I took a job over there because I got laid off at my job. Because anybody knows, if you work for the cable company, the only thing that's normal about any cable company is you get laid off. Every company who buys out another company thinks, well, there's too many managers. You're gone, and you're gone. So I took a job out in Frederick, Maryland, that's only like 15 minutes away from Gettysburg. And my wife, we still have 2 kids before we had our third one. So she had to wait until school's finished, and then she'll go up in the summer. Now, since I was up there, my brother took the job at the Smithsonian. So my brother worked at the Smithsonian, and he would drive there, or he will take the train bus from Frederick to Washington, D.C., which is a very ugly city, by the way. We didn't like DC. We didn't like Baltimore. The only thing we liked was Gettysburg. And Gettysburg was like only 15 miles away from Frederick. So every weekend we always go to Gettysburg because there's just something magical about the history, the culture there, and how people would not dress, but they would actually wear their war uniforms almost all year round in Gettysburg. So I just want to give a little feedback on why we were there. I was actually living in Frederick, Maryland.
For my own safety, he refrained from disclosing the details, but he did mention sensing an unusual energy emanating from it. The following day, May 13th, while engrossed in television, I experienced an inexplicable sensation, as if a vision was urging me to visit Gettysburg in the near future. It struck me as peculiar to have such a vision on the 13th of May, considering the mystical significance I associate with the number 13.
And anybody who knows my channel knows that 13 has always been something strange with me, where there's actually a Mandela effect where we actually showed people on the channel on a live show where one year on a basketball team, I was wearing a number 12 based on an Indiana Hoosier player. Then somehow in the middle of the season, the picture went from 12 to 13. So,
Really?
so 13 has always been like, not because 13, bad luck number 13, everything's 13. 13 has always been this weird number with me. That is just, things happen on the 13th. I'm expecting something to happen tomorrow because tomorrow is the 13th. So when I mention that the day on Friday, on Friday on the 12th, I had like a vision, like, man, we have to go to Gettysburg next day. Just kind of weird. Well, nothing like huge, but like,
Right.
we got to go to Gettysburg. Something's telling us we got to go to Gettysburg.
On the morning of May 14th, my brother and I awoke and embarked on a drive to Gettysburg. Prior to our arrival at the Gettysburg National Military Park, my brother insisted on stopping at a diner to enjoy a hearty breakfast.
Now, this is funny. Maybe it's funny. The only reason we stopped at a breakfast, because this is during the time when all the states were banning smoking at restaurants. And my brother wanted to smoke at a restaurant. And in Maryland, you couldn't. But in Gettysburg, you still can. So the main reason to go out to this breakfast, because my brother he wanted to smoke in a restaurant. He always says he wanted to taste his freedom.
That's funny.
So just let people know that, just a little inside thing.
Subsequently, we proceeded to the park. Upon entering the National Military Park, we immediately noticed a military reenactment taking place. However, it deviated from the typical Civil War battle reenactments, instead portraying a Civil War medical camp. Our car was the sole vehicle present in the parking area, prompting us to alight and approach the camp. Numerous tents dotted the landscape, and a bonfire illuminated the scene, with wounded Northern Civil War soldiers gathered around its warmth. As we made our way towards the bonfire, a lady dressed in a white attire reminiscent of the fashion in 1863 halted our progress. She carried a plate brimming with bread and inquired if we had brought any food for the feast.
Now my brother had a slight different memory on that part when they brought us the food. I know it was bread because I smelt it. But my brother said on that thing it was potatoes, because they're going to put the potatoes and they're going to cook stew. Potatoes, bread, maybe they look alike. I don't know, but we always thought that was kind of strange because I told him, no, I smelt the bread. He said, no, that was potatoes. So we have a thing like, do we have a split memory on that maybe or something? Because there's some other things there that there was a couple little slight memories, but whatever happened, we got there or not got there, maybe, I don't know, it messed with your brains a little bit to think differently on certain things. But I just want to bring that up. It doesn't really mean much, but he says potatoes, I say bread.
Did he smell potatoes?
Well, he said he didn't smell like nothing.
Okay.
So I guess that would be more potato, because a potato, to smell potato, you really got to put that next to your nose. A hot bread, you could just smell that, warms the room. Right. And that's what it smelled like to me. But he says he didn't smell nothing. He said he saw it. And according to him, he said he saw her walk towards the pot that they're making stew. But I didn't see that part. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe they had both on the plate. I don't know. But
they could have had potato bread, morning, noon, mentioned potato bread.
Could be, but my brother always like, Eric, nope, it was potatoes. I think, no, dude, it's bread.
All right.
I smell it, but just a little inside thing.
Manner, my brother and I responded that we had lost our provisions during a Civil War skirmish over the mountain, barely managing to survive. The lady, unperturbed, informed us that there was an abundance of food available and advised us to seek medical attention from the doctors before joining the other soldiers gathered around the fire. As we strolled towards the tents, we observed Civil War soldiers being transported to the medical area. Many of them bore bullet wounds and missing limbs and were in dire need of medical care. Each soldier appeared remarkably authentic, their wounds appearing distressingly real. My brother
and guys, and that's the thing that was not throwing us off, that so far we were there, we're the only ones that at the time, like, pull up in a car. We didn't see nobody else that looked like us, dressed like us there. So we thought it was odd, and we were like walking around like, oh my God, these people look so real. We're like joking a little bit, like, dude, they get into it. They look like they're missing an arms and blood everywhere. I mean, it was like, this is like the most realistic reenactment that we ever saw. But we're like, why isn't nobody here for this? What's going? Is it because people have went to church? I mean, I don't know, but so we were figuring something is strange because it just looked too damn real.
Wow.
And you know, and we're like, we know, and we thought we'd play along. Like when they asked us, like, did you bring something for the feast? Because I guess you're supposed to bring something. Like, oh no, we lost it over a battle over the hill. So we're like playing along with it because, you know, I was like, this is great. Let's play. We're gonna play along. Let's act like we're a soldier, even though we're wearing shorts. You know, but hey, who knows how they're seeing us at, you know, what we're wearing, but who knows? But that's the part where it was getting a little strange because it looks so goddamn real.
And I dismissed it as a testament to their commitment to the reenactment and proceeded toward a tent where horsehair was being boiled. Inside, a Northern Civil War doctor was cutting hair from a horse and placing it in a large pot for boiling. Curiosity piqued, I inquired about the purpose of boiling horsehair. The soldier explained that the process rendered the hair softer, allowing it to be used as a string for suturing soldiers' limbs. Additionally, the hot water served to eliminate any germs present.
Meanwhile, my brother ventured towards another tent and I followed suit. Inside, he examined a table adorned with Civil War weapons, alongside artifacts from various Indian tribes such as arrows and knives. The soldier responsible for the collection informed us that he gathered these weapons from the battlefield, repairing them and collecting ammunition for future battles. Graciously, he offered my brother an arrowhead, which was gratefully accepted. We then proceeded towards the bonfire, joining the other soldiers and taking our seats. The soldiers generously provided my brother and me with large mugs filled with beer, which we enjoyed alongside bread and a bowl of stew. I remarked to my brother how remarkable it was that we were the only spectators who had made the journey to witness this reenactment. We found it to be an exhilarating experience. Seated amongst the soldiers, they regaled us with tales of their battles against the South. The soldiers informed us that they had lost more than half of their platoon. I jokingly remarked to my brother that they were excellent actors, as their stories were told with such precision. We expressed our gratitude to everyone for their warm welcome and bid them farewell as we made our way back to our platoon, although our true intention was to leave the area. We had already been there for an extended period of time, approximately 4-5 hours. As we drove away from the Gettysburg Military National Park, I noticed that the surroundings became brighter. Upon checking my watch, I was surprised to see that only 45 minutes had passed since we arrived. I was perplexed by this, but attributed it to perhaps having had too much to drink.
And the thing is, we had a lot to drink they gave us, but first of all, the beer tasted flat. Wouldn't make sense that they're making it out there. And if you guys don't mean what I mean by that, the hours, you know, when you spent half a day at somewhere, you know, you spent hours, like 4 to 5 hours. And it's like we got in the car, and once we left the national park area, it felt like things got a little brighter. And then when we looked at our clock, was only like we were there like 45 minutes. So it was, you know, we didn't know what to think of it, but we're like, we didn't drink enough to get drunk or buzz, because you would know if you were buzzing, because the beer tasted flat. You know, my brother says maybe it wasn't beer, maybe it was like hot tea or something that they made us. Who knows?
I was going to ask you if you guys tried using your cell phones or digital watches, if anything was working right or not working right, or
you know, we'd never. You're right. We should have. We never looked at the phones part, just our watch. We just saw the time, because we were in Gettysburg. We don't know anybody, so we don't call nobody. I mean, we don't know anybody. And you're right. You know, thinking about it now, we didn't take pictures or nothing because we're having such a fun time. We did not want. My brother and I, we hated where you look like a tourist.
right.
You know, they're like accepting us like we're actors. So we want to be like them, like actors. So we just join in with them like nothing, like just part of the group and all that.
So Jane asked earlier, they never questioned you or thought you looked weird. They just
No,
Yeah,
that's
they
the
didn't.
thing. No,
Yeah, they didn't question your
not one
clothes?
person. Not one person. They asked my brother like what platoon we're from, and I don't know
Huh.
what the shit. I can't remember exactly what my brother made up, like what some kind of platoon, and like he was saying some kind of platoon. We're the only survivors that made it out, and all that.
wow.
And that's where we're like, God, these guys are great actors, because it's like
Wow.
they're feeding off, and my brother's like feeding off of them, because everybody knows my brother. He'll get like 100% involved. He'll like dive like right in and all that, and nobody ever mentioned anything about our clothes. The only thing we said is, still after we felt we've been there for a long time, and we were amazed. We were like so like happy, and like, I can't believe we're the only ones out here that's from the out. I guess not outside world, but you know, outside the reenactment, everybody's dressing up.
Right.
So you know, so like I said, we just played along until we left. And then that's when we noticed like it was brighter and all that. And we looked at the clock. And we noticed. I mean, I did look at my clock while we were there, because I remember looking at the time. Like that's why I'm like, I did remember saying like telling my brother like, man, we've been here about 4 or 5 hours now. I think it's time to get back to because we got to work the next day, because that was a Sunday. So we had to go back to work on Monday. So after we look at our watch, but then like I said, when we left, the first part that tripped us out was just how the watch. Like, and we knew it was no hour time going forward and back, because that happens at 2 a.m. in the morning and stuff. That, but we're like, hey, we've seen strange things in our life. Well, what else? But this last part is where it kind of gets extra strange.
We returned to our apartment and spent the remainder of the day relaxing before retiring for the night in preparation for work the following day. On May 15th, my brother and I went to work as usual. Upon returning home, my brother informed me that he had something astonishing to share. He had mentioned the Gettysburg reenactment to his colleagues at the Smithsonian Institution, only to be informed that there was no such event. They explained that a license would be required to hold a reenactment, and none had been filed for that weekend. I was taken aback by this news and demanded an explanation from my brother. He had researched the matter and even contacted the Gettysburg City Hall, who confirmed that there was no reenactment. The following day, my brother and I returned to Gettysburg to investigate the matter further. We stopped at 3 different places and all had the same answer: no reenactment. We went back to the spot of the reenactment and there was no evidence of the event. We went back to the car, heard a noise, looked around.
Yeah, so we actually went back because we thought, well, they had tents up, so if they have tents up, we would see the dents, but there was like no dents. The grass looked like nobody was walking on them. Like
right,
no
the
fire.
cooking fire spot. There should have been that there.
Yeah, they should, because they had a big fireplace, like in the middle of the camp spot, like big fire where they're cooking the stew, chairs, and, people are sitting in chairs. You had people laying on the ground with, limbs off, limbs. So there was like no spot of blood, no nothing. Like there was nothing ever happened there.
Oh,
Nothing.
that's bizarre.
Kind of like that picture. I mean, like that picture, like no anything. And it just, I don't know, it's like,
What's really bizarre is when you went over there, it's like you just blended into their time era, their time zone. You must have been dressed like they were, or they would have noticed that you were out of place.
Yeah, it's what bothers me is, and no, I don't know if it bothers my brother as much as I always say, like, if you kind of see, like, my brother and I did a paranormal investigation at a graveyard, the Black Diamond Graveyard. There was a section where myself, him, and my nephew saw like somebody walking across, a ghostly figure that you see through, right? You could believe that. But when something is too real looking, like I'm looking at you both, your brain can't accept that. You know what I mean? It's like, if somebody told me I was not on this show with you two, like I'm looking at you two right now. It'd be like, no, you didn't. You were on somebody's channel and nobody showed up. Seeing those two, that's the problem. That's the part that just is hard to grasp, that, and they can't all be ghosts. I mean, it just can't, because there's too real. So, the theory is, did we just somehow walk into a ghost? Did we somehow, like Jessica Jones, like talking about, maybe we stepped into like a time travel type of deal where to them we were wearing a uniform or something.
Right. Yeah, some kind of time slip.
You were in your vehicle, correct? And when you
we
saw
drove
them out in the field
and parked outside, there's like a in the park, national park, there's a section where you park your cars and you just walk to the field. So when we saw the tents and all that on the left, we just parked on the outside and we just walked like towards the whole tent, like grass area, because that wood you see there is all out there in the national park. It's very huge. It's real. Actually, the military national park of Gettysburg is really, really, really huge.
Wow.
And a lot of times people are not even allowed to do things on it. But we're like, man, this is great. Let's go check it out. But
then you had to have driven through a time slip or a portal or something then.
Or, that's a good point. That's a good point. Because
you were in your vehicle
pulled
when you
over
saw
because
them.
we seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we walked out and walked towards it. Yeah, we were just walking and then it just showed up. We saw it with our eye, and then we got out and walked towards it, and there was like no other cars, no nothing there. There's like nothing there, no other cars. And when we left, there was again no other cars, no nothing. We just thought we're the lucky sons of people on this planet to actually experience a different kind of a reenactment, because this wasn't a battle between it. Now, we heard shooting and like some bombings over the hills, but the thing is, anybody been to Gettysburg, especially if you go at nighttime, especially near 4th of July, they always do fireworks. They always do. So a lot of times you do hear it, because my brother and our kids, we actually did a ghost walk there one time at Gettysburg, and they were doing fireworks show, and to make everything sound like you were actually there. So we didn't think nothing extra about hearing stuff, because you hear stuff before, just going on ghost walks and stuff. But then beyond that, anytime we went back to Gettysburg and all that, nothing ever close to that. The only other close is on one of our ghost walks that we did. My nephew, at the time, I think my nephew was only 6 or 7 with my son, and they said they were looking over in the grassy area, and he said he saw a soldier like basically like waving at them. Now,
Oh.
when we looked, we didn't see what they were talking about, but sometimes kids could see things. I really truly believe that kids could see things that we're not meant to see. Or maybe their minds are, I hate to say it, more open, because listen, my brother's mind, my mind, we're so open, you can't get more open than our minds, right? I mean, but
Yep.
so our kids said they saw a soldier over there on another time. So that's the closest thing that we ever saw as a ghost going back. We actually almost moved. We're actually almost moved to Gettysburg because I didn't like Frederick. I didn't like the Maryland side. I really didn't. But we decided to move back to Washington. So, so we moved back to Washington, and it's.
But you didn't actually see both sides of the war, or there was no fighting where you were at. So that was kind of like a medical place and resting place.
Exactly. It was all medical, and they were bringing in northern soldiers and the wounded. There was some wounded South soldiers too.
Oh.
And some of the doctors, there were actually Southern doctors, because I guess, a doctor's is their job to save lives no matter what, whoever they are. And what we learned at this, my brother loves talking to people, and he was talking to whoever he was talking to, one of the lead soldiers, and they said that the northern doctors were learning most of their stuff from the southern doctors, like the horsehair that we learned, because they ran out of string to sew up the stitches because so much battle was going on. So if people don't know that, horsehair is a very thicker material, basically, even if you cut it. So to get it softer, they had to boil it. So people in the chat, they had to boil the hair to get it softer. But what the southern doctors told the northern doctors, but what they learned is, while they boiled the hair, they learned that there was less affections on wounds and stuff, because they learned that when you boil and heat things, you kill germs.
Yeah.
Right.
So you could say that southern doctors taught the northerners to save people more lives in a lot of different ways. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, because it was like one of the most coolest things we ever experienced, but we also learned so much about it. We learned, like the guy was showing my brother all the weapons. He would go up there after the battles and pick up all the weapons to repair, get the bullets out, whatever they needed for the next battle. Because, there's not a whole lot of materials. They said they don't get a lot of material. So they have to find from the dead ones, take their boots for other soldiers who might need boots that got messed up and all that, or new recruits coming in. So everything is saved, and we, it was like we learned all this. And my brother still has, and this is the weird part, a guy handed my brother an arrowhead. My brother still has it. I should tell him he needs to show it on his channel one day. So he got something from this place. See, that's what makes it. See, that's what makes it strange too. Like, well, where did this come from?
Yeah.
What is this? Where does this arrowhead come from?
Huh.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those things that it's still today is like it was just too real looking. It was just like we were really at a reenactment, but to this day there was never one there. According to, there's no license. Because the Smithsonian, they know when there's reenactments in areas, because there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of requests that these reenactments would request from the Smithsonian, like uniforms and stuff that they can issue for a certain amount of money. So there's actually money to be made at a Smithsonian for giving out materials and stuff that they can use, or information and all that. And so there was nothing there. My brother called like I said, the mayor's office. They said there was nothing there. And then we went to like 3 different places, just pretend like, hey, I heard there was a cool reenactment this Sunday. And everybody was like, there was no reenactment in Gettysburg, we would know. You know, we would boom up. We would get extra supplies because people go into reenactments. They buy stuff. They buy food. They buy, and every place says there wasn't one. So I don't know.
You guys research?
What's
Did
that?
you guys research that area right where you were at? Was the battle somewhere else and then approach that area?
No. Where we were at, there was plenty of battles there. There was a lot of deaths. One of the bloodiest wars was in that area, and that's where like Jessica was like mentioning, like when you have such a massive amount of death in an area, imagine people. You remember most of these soldiers, they didn't really, not all of them wanted to be there. You know, they're forced to be there. They had to kind of volunteer. So, you know, you're getting shot and killed, and you might not even be in full belief on why you're even there in the first place. Like where you're fighting your neighbors, you're fighting people the next state over. So when you think of all those people instantly getting shot, and remember, and those bullets, those round little bullets aren't like bullets go right through a body. They crack bones, and I mean, that stuff is bloody.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that tripped us because this stuff looked bloody. Like I was saying, like, this is the most realistic thing I've ever seen in my life. I was even in the military. And I never seen anything like that. Luckily, I wasn't in. I wasn't in the Iraq war and all that. So I didn't. I know a lot of people have been there, probably seen that over there, but I have not. We were out in the ocean guarding the park, so we never got to go onto land to physically fight. But my God, and just thinking to myself, and it's just sad in so many ways, you guys. It's kind of sad because you saw northern, southern, just even though at the time we thought it was reenactment, but it's just like, wow, just you got your whole labor on. And what's sad is they had a special tent. I remember, and we noticed that only special high generals could go in there, and they actually had like the best doctors. Where like if you want to save an arm or foot, they'll send the best doctors for all the high generals and all that, but the peasants, soldiers, no.
Do you remember
they don't
any
get the high
names being
medicine. They don't
mentioned
get
that
the
you
high.
could look up?
They have to do the gross saw things and everything. Now we heard. Now I didn't watch it, but we heard people screaming inside of a tent like they're sawing, and that's part of the reason we're like, these people really get into it. They really get into it. I mean, it sounds like we're like, that person really sounds like they're screaming like they're getting something cut off, but not realizing.
Wow.
Maybe they really were.
Yeah.
So like I said, did you hear anybody mention any names that you could look up in a historical record to see if they were there or look up their history?
I don't remember any names. I think my brother heard one name. I have to ask him. I don't remember anybody mentioning anybody by name. It was just like, it was almost like all the soldiers that were sitting around nobody really knew each other. They just there because they got hurt. They're just getting fixed. It was like a melting pot of everybody. I always tell people, if you've never been to Gettysburg, it's actually a small town. It's not really that big of a town, but the Military National Park is really, really huge, and everybody should take a visit one day there. And I do want to go back just because my daughter was actually born in Frederick. My 3 kids were born in 3 different states. One kid was born in New York, one kid was born in Maryland, and my other kid was born in Washington.
That's cool.
Wow.
But, one day, I do want to go back because my daughter wants to see the birthplace where she was born.
So what time of day did you guys arrive there? Do you remember the exact time?
In the morning. We go first thing in the morning because in Frederick, Maryland, it's I don't know what it is to this day, but people are really church going people out there. So a lot of people go to church. So the idea is we always go first thing in the morning on Sunday instead of Saturday, because there'd be less people, because people were in the churches during that time and all that. So that's why we go, like, we left like at 6 o'clock in the morning to go get some breakfast and all that. So when we were the first one there, that at first it wasn't unusual because in our minds everybody's at church still.
Okay.
So there's a heavily church thing. I mean, a lot of church buildings out there in Frederick, beautiful church building. I'm not really religious, but there's a lot of churches. So we just thought that, hey, people really love their church. They're still out there during their church, during a reenactment.
It makes you wonder if they
and
even
that's why
had
we knew
reenactments.
we were there 4 or 5 hours because, we got there so early. The air was crisp. That little coldness in the morning, in September and all that. And when we left, felt like the sun was out. It got warmed up and all that. And it was very strange. Like I said, and it's hard to explain when we left the area, how things like slowly just seemed like it got brighter.
Oh,
like
okay.
Like brighter. But then, like I said, we looked at our clock, like, there's no way we were there 45 minutes. There's just no way. Because just walking around that we did was like 45 minutes. Sitting down hours and just sitting and of course my brother's he was always like talking to everybody there. He look, he was looking. I remember he was just like staring at all the weapons, the guns, the bullets, and watching the guy do his repairs, the black powder and everything. And I was memorized by like watching them. I actually literally watched them cut horsehair, because that's what was tripping me out. Because I was like, hey, that guy just cut hair off a horse. Is that allowed? Isn't that, in my mind, I'm thinking, isn't that considered abuse? I mean, I don't know. Like, oh, but we need the string. And I literally watched them cut the hair off, bring it to this big pot and boiling it. And then they're stringing it, laying it out. And then they would use the rest of the hot water and put some of their medical tools in there to clean the germs off and all that. And then explaining that they learned that from the Southern doctors, because the Northern were getting most of the supplies, because, they were still being supported by the government, leaking and all that, where the South wasn't, they were like cut off. So they had to like MacGyver stuff. And all that MacGyver stuff was taught to the Northern soldiers. Well, if you don't have that, you could do it this way.
Wow, that's crazy.
However you want to say it. So all that was so fascinating. Yes, freaky geek, exactly. I should have used the word sterilized. Yes, the boiling water, they learned it sterilized it, but they didn't know that until they start. See, that's the thing is, when they were boiling hair, they weren't doing it at first thinking they're going to sterilize it. They needed to get softer, but they learned that wounds were healing more proper. That's where they learned that this actually sterilizes it. This actually,
because they had a gangrene problem during the Civil War.
Yes, actually cut one person. Maybe it's good to sterilize your tools before you use it on somebody else.
Did you ever look into
about this? Man, it felt like we learned so much while we're there. It wasn't just like we saw battles and all that and great, we came back. It was very educational. And then of course, some of the things we did look up, like, yeah, the horsehair was all true. The stories are all there. That really did happen and all that. So
Was that common with other reenactments to use that horsehair, or was this
You
something
know,
odd?
now most reenactments that I know are all the soldier kind, the fighting on the horses and all that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a medical reenactment. That's what intrigued us in the first place
Mm.
to pull over to check
Wow.
this out, because there weren't like people on horses with weapons and all that. It was like tents, soldiers on the ground bleeding,
Hmm.
and we just had to stop and go.
Interesting.
There was no sign that says, "Hey," and reenactment was happening.
Yeah.
We just saw all the tents and all the people, and we decided, hey, let's just walk over there. If they throw us out, they throw us out. What do we care? And they didn't throw us
Was
out. They accepted us in. Like I said, the first person that walked up to us was the lady in the white dress, the Civil War outfit with the big plate of food, asking us, did we bring something for the feast? And of course, that's where my brother got into it. And like, no, we lost it over a battle over the hill. We barely made it out alive. Like, no problem. We have plenty of food for you guys. Go
so,
get yourself checked out first, and then come sit with us.
so once you got past the restaurant, did you notice anybody else on the road, or when you left the reenactment, was there anybody else on the
Well, there's
road?
cars out in the restaurant area because the way we drove into Frederick, you got the national park like first, and then you drive into town, and the restaurant, if I remember right, it was like on the other side of town. It's not a huge actual town, honestly. It's not like a huge town. And when we went to breakfast, there were other vehicles there, like eating breakfast, and then we always like to take a drive when we're done, and we always like to take a drive into the national park and just drive around, because there's always something you never seen before there, because it's actually
Right.
a big place. And we do like to try to sneak into certain areas that you're not supposed to, like because we're there, because there are people that do go out there, and there's still people out there that dig in the ground to find artifacts out there. And that's kind of like what we like to do, is drive out there, find a spot, go out there, and maybe get lucky and find an artifact. But when we're driving into the park in certain areas, I can't remember exactly, what left turn or right turn. It's been so long ago. I just remember making a turn, driving up, and then we saw off before like a hill all these tents, and we decided the park. Like I said, when we drove into the park, there was no other cars. It was still early in the morning. There was nothing. When we left the town part of the section, there was no cars out there, no anything.
Oh,
And that's where, we found our spot and pulled over to go in, and wow, it's just,
that's crazy.
So when you left, did you go down the same direction, or did you go down the other direction down the road? So
well,
just makes me wonder, if you passed through something, did you pass through it again?
There, if you ever been to Gettysburg, the area, there's a bunch of roads that could lead you back to the main road. So when we left, no, when we came in from the restaurant, we came in like this way, and when we left, we went straight up
Oh,
and then make like a
all
right
right.
turn to get back to the main road. So we didn't go back the exact same way. We went forward,
Huh.
because it saves you a little bit more time in a way than going backtrack.
Now it makes it more
Well, I
interesting
never thought
because,
about that. I never thought about that.
yeah.
Driving back and forth, but it's just a common
Right.
thing
Yeah.
that we do, and I
Well,
don't
that
know.
makes
It
it
was
more
awesome.
interesting. You're going different direction. I would think if you went down the same road, maybe it was the same spot of that portal, but now you're
No,
not
we
going down the same
continue.
road. You want a
We
different direction.
we continue
Interesting.
down, because it's like I always like, even though we're going back to the main road to go home, I still like sightseeing, seeing something a little different than seeing the same spot that we did travel. And we just like, I don't know, I just rather keep going forward to see anything else that's going on out there, and then head on to the main road, and then go all the way back to the wonderful town of Frederick.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And what's really interesting is being in like a time slip or whatever happened, you smelling that bread also.
Oh man, it's it's like you can smell that bread. I mean, it is that morning crisp. You smell that. There's nothing better than smelling that nice, fresh, hot bread that comes out of the oven that just fills up. You know that smell, like somebody just made cookies into a house. You smell the chocolate chip cookies. So there's a smell, but not again. My brother didn't smell nothing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I always tell him, hey, you're a smoker, so you probably can't smell good anymore. I got to bust his ball somehow because I don't smoke and he does. So I thought maybe you probably killed your smelling buds or tasting buds.
Was there any horses and carriages or anything for like how people got there? That wasn't actually in the war.
Like I said, there was a few. They had some horses there, but they were tied normally. And then, of course, like I said, they're cutting the hair off the horses, and there were a couple carriages, not a lot. I mean, I wasn't really staring at all the carriages. I maybe only saw maybe 2 or 3, but there were about 4 or 5 horses. There was a general, like I said, there was a commander general that rode up on a horse, and then he got off the horse and went into the special tent, and that's where my brother's like, "What's that tent over there?" "Oh, that's only for the officers."
Oh yeah,
wow.
That's only for them. That's not no regular peasant gets to go in there, and that's what you also learn. Like, my God, even back in those days, doesn't matter where you're at. When you're enlisted, man, you're just like in the military, I was a enlisted man. You're just a number. We're gonna send you off, while all the officers and stuff get all the special privileges. They get the best.
I keep going back and thinking about how far would their medical unit be from where the actual battle is, though. You know what I mean? Why? I wonder why you guys didn't see any fighting in the field.
Well, they heard it.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. That is a good question. Maybe,
or maybe it was going on. You just couldn't see that part.
But I'm not sure. But I think there's selected battlegrounds people go, and I'm not sure, but I don't think they're allowed to fight near a medical place because the medical is kept off so they can help repair people. So I don't think they are. But I mean, you gotta understand the military, but out there, the park is huge. So,
right.
It's like I said, we heard noises, but it was like way and way and way over there. And like you said, you're talking about like carriage, like we saw people coming in wounded, through one of those there's like back in, there's like bodies in there. And then they put them on stretchers and they take them off. That's part where we're like sitting down, like we're actually sitting down with other soldiers, and that's where we're like, my God, they're even acting out people off stretchers. Like,
man.
You know what I mean? Like, man, and I'm like, to be actors just for like 2 of us, because there's somebody else there. We're like,
just think if you actually would have went towards the battle, if you would have followed the sounds.
Oh wow, yeah.
You're right. But I think when we left, I don't remember hearing the sounds. I'm trying to remember like hearing the sounds a little bit no more, but it just felt like we were there all day, and we were just ready to. Because we felt like, God damn, we got to go to work next day. This sucks. We're having the time of our life, but we got to go back to work the next day. You know what I mean? Like that dreaded workplace. And I still remember my brother coming home saying, "Hey, I got to tell you something. Like, come on, we were at nothing happened there." I'm like, "What do you mean nothing happened there? We see everything happen there." He goes, "Apparently." I told my coworkers, and they said, "What do you mean? There's no reenactment. We know of every reenactment." I go, "That's not possible." He goes, "Yes." When they told me that, my brother told me he even made a phone call to the office, and there's none. And we looked it up. We looked up on the internet, and I know how to look things up on the internet. I work for the cable company. I was a supervisor out there with a team. We looked everything up. Nothing scheduled, nothing. And most reenactments are all war reenactments also. And there's like, there's nothing, no dates, no nothing. We looked at the Gettysburg website to see if they have something planned. There was nothing planned that day. And we thought, well, maybe somehow 200-300 people, I don't know, they planned something without telling anybody, or
Right.
Mhm.
so maybe people in town would see this. Nobody says anything. Of course, we made it sound like when we talk to these people, do not think we're crazy. That's where we said, "Hey, I heard they had a reenactment." Like we're not nuts or crazy. But I'm telling you, there is something magical. Then you start putting everything together, like, the day before that Saturday, I did have that slight vision, like we needed to go there. And my brother wanted to go to a restaurant that morning to smoke a cigarette because he wanted to taste his freedom. It's just funny to think about all that. The 13, he wanted to taste his freedom. I don't know, but did walk away. We did learn a lot. Like it was in some ways, when you think about it, like I said, it was sad to think about at one time, a lot of these people were even neighbors. And then they
Right.
get stuck on one side. They have to cover the north or they have to cover the south. And the next thing they know, they're in battles. And you start thinking, well, can all those deaths create all that type of energy, a portal? And if you think about portals, I'm not here trying to make anybody believers in portals, but if you are a believer in portals, what can create a portal? Well, if thousands of people who've died in these lands out here, if that doesn't create a portal, then I say portal can't exist, because it would have to exist here and all that.
Yeah, because that's a lot of energy all in one place. That's a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot going on, whether good or bad. That has to leave a mark in that area.
It has to be. Like when you hear about haunted houses, there are people who get murdered in their houses, how it kind of leaves that type of bad energy in that house, or reenactments of ghost hauntings that happens, and I'm more of the belief, like, Eric, do you think it was ghost? Did you think it was like a portal or time travel? Sometimes I'll flip once in a while, because you would think, well, ghosts would need a lot of energy. Just for one ghost would need a lot of energy to show themselves. But on the other hand, there's a lot of death. There's a lot of energy out there.
Mhm.
Could that be enough energy to what we saw? Or was that kind of energy kind of opened the door? We kind of walked into 1863, because my brother did research, like, the time period. That was 1863 when we were there.
Hmm.
That in. So it's
Wow.
I'm thinking. You remember the show Quantum Leap?
yeah.
It almost makes me think that you guys drove up there, went through some kind of
Mhm.
time slip, and then maybe they saw you guys as somebody else. You guys might have been John Smith in the military, or
And that's exactly what I was saying, because not one person said, "What are you wearing?" 'Cause we're both wearing shorts.
Right.
Yeah.
Shorts.
We're West Coast people. We always wear shorts. We're West Coast, living now on the East Coast. So, and nobody there was wearing shorts. They're all wearing soldier outfits, pants, and all that. I can't remember exactly what I was wearing, but it was no soldier outfit. But not one person mentioned anything about wearing our clothes. There's not one person. So, we just thought they were great actors.
do you guys
And
remember any of the insignias on their uniforms, like any troops or regiment they were with?
top of my head, not the moment. My brother did. I mean, he researched it back then, but man, I can't
Right.
remember anything now. But it's
Because sometimes they have little skirmishes, you know, the day before the actual real battle, you know, that they would have. So I was just curious. What's Brown
Yeah.
Dwarf saying?
Brown dwarf.
Yep, got shorts on now with cowboy boots. Hey, you know, hey Brown Dwarf. Hey, you look at a lot of my pictures when I'm in the mountains and stuff. A lot of times I am just wearing my cowboy hats and shirts and wearing shorts. I like shorts. But I mean, if I go on a long trail, I do put on pants. But you know,
Right.
we didn't think we were going on a long trail. You know, it's just a big national park there in one end. So it's
You know,
I
when I
do
was
want to
at,
go back. I
I
mean,
worked
we were
second
back
shift.
several times before we moved from there, but nothing has ever happened ever again, except when my nephew, my son, and my brother's son saw the soldier out in the middle of the field. That seemed like
Maybe it
only
was a
the
certain
kids
date.
seen, no grown-ups.
Maybe it was a certain date, certain time that it only happened. So
You know,
Yeah.
that's a good question too. You know,
Yeah.
that's a good one to think about. If I ever do go back,
do
I
the
should
same
try to
date,
plan
same
around the
time.
same date.
Yeah. Same time in the morning.
Because I
You
work,
know?
you know, I'm retired now, but I work second shift, so I didn't get home till midnight, and I would drive past every day on the way to work and on the way back a town that's no longer there. They have a little monument out in the middle of a field, and I keep thinking all the time, it's like, man, it's midnight. I'm going by this place. I'm going to look over, and there's going to be old steam trains and a general store, and I keep thinking to myself, okay, if that ever happens, do I go in? Am I going to be able to get back out, or am I going to be stuck in that timeline?
Right.
Or
And they went in not knowing it.
Yeah, really, huh? I mean, I don't know. You know, sometimes I do ask myself, why hasn't it ever happened again? But like I said, I gotta believe there's got to be a reason for everything, right? Is
Yeah.
there
Right.
something that maybe we needed to see some reality that the life that we're living to help us move forward, and
I
because
think you need to write a book about it down to every detail that you remember.
yeah, I mean, actually, like sit there with my brother and try to sit there and
Yeah.
like try to.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
because that's the part, just sitting there with everybody, and not everybody, just me and my brother, and try to mark it, like maybe go back out there, look at the area, and try to remember exactly how many steps,
Right.
just try to figure everything out. Maybe go back to that restaurant, start with that restaurant if it's still there, unless they
Yeah, it's
sold,
gone.
it's probably gone with the economy.
Yeah,
You'd that.
you'd probably have to do your own reenactment, do everything the same that you did that day, or try to.
Hey, when you live out west, you don't see reenactments out in the west. I grew up in Fresno, California. There's no reenactment in Fresno. The only reenactment are gangs shooting people that they reenact that every single day.
Yeah.
And then of course moving to Seattle, Washington, we never saw reenactments up there. So seeing this was like our first time ever seeing a Civil War reenactment. We never saw one before. So that's why we were intrigued. But we were also intrigued that this wasn't like the typical reenactment that you've seen on TV with the soldiers on the horses
Right.
fighting, This was like a different point of view, but it was so cool to us. Like, hey, at least we're here. At least we're in one.
Well, did they normally have reenactments on Sunday?
I have never, the years I lived there, I have never seen or heard of any reenactments out in Gettysburg. What I thought, I mean, I could be wrong, that somebody told us, and I don't know if this is true or not, that the Gettysburg area is not a lot. Maybe it is now, maybe it wasn't, but somebody told us that they weren't allowed to have reenactments out there.
Oh,
You have to go to like Tennessee for the reenactments, other places in Pennsylvania for the reenactments. We were told that they're not allowed to have reenactments in that area.
I always thought they had reenactments at Gettysburg.
Yeah, that's now. Like I said, I have to re-look that up. I don't know if that's true anymore. If that's, but somebody did tell us that they're not even allowed to have reenactments. You got to go off. You got to go like drive 2-3 hours different directions if you want to go see yourself in a reenactment.
I wonder if somebody drove by while you and your brother were out there, if they just saw you. You guys wandering around out in the field.
Like, what are they doing?
Somebody, I don't know if it was on Jessica's show or not. Somebody mentioned that, Bob worked in the bottom part of the certain tunnels of the Smithsonian, places that the public's not allowed to go to. Some people believe that maybe he somehow got in touch with a certain kind of energy there that just happened. Maybe that I don't know if that was. I don't know if Jessica brought that up, like him working somebody brought it up. I don't know if it was on a show, and then like I guess anything is a possibility. If something happened, there's a reason why. What causes it. It's hard. It's hard to say.
Maybe something that he saw there or handled was actually part of that battle, and made some kind of connection between him and that.
Yeah. There's things that my brother have seen in the Smithsonian that he still to this day is not allowed to really say anything. And I don't know if he's messing with me or because anybody knows my brother, you don't know sometimes what the hell he's like. If I tell you, if they find out that I tell you, they could come and get you. Like, what? Are you fucking with me? Are you joking with me? But I know my brother does go to places that he's not supposed to. So I do know that he's been into a lot of secret rooms in the tunnels of the Smithsonian, because he's told me there's a bunch of tunnels and it's bigger than people think it is. Smithsonian is very, very powerful organization.
Have you ever seen any giants?
Yeah, he actually went on Jessica Jones' channel and talked about giant heads and giant bones. And he talked about how a lot of the skeleton heads would have holes in them where
right. Yeah, I remember that.
Do experiments. Yeah, so no, he said he has, and he sometimes said that he knows some things about something that maybe is not from this world, but he said he can't tell me. So I don't know if that's just him, or you know what I mean, or because you got to have where the position he was at with the Smithsonian, you had high clearance. And he had high clearance from being in the military. He was in the Navy on the U.S. Blue Ridge ship that went around the world several times. So my brother has seen a lot of stuff.
Wow.
But there could be something. It's hard to explain. Like if I go to a place, like when I went to Black Diamond Cemetery the day before I went with him, there was like nothing, like nothing, caught nothing, no voices, no anything at all. But then I go the next day, or maybe a couple days later with him, and my nephew was the camera person. We heard some things. We saw an orb. That's where we did see a ghost. It's almost like, is there some kind of a like connection where when we're far apart, a lot of things don't happen, but when we're close, things happen. Because there's times that when he was living in Europe, and when I had to go to the doctor because somehow a ripped muscle on the inside just ripped. My brother had the same pain, the same area, didn't even know it. And then I busted my ankle, and my brother showed me marks on his foot where I just busted my ankle that same day. So sometimes it seems like there's certain things that happens to me actually happens to him. Not exactly like the rip, but the pains is in the same areas. So is there some kind of connection where in a way we're stronger together than separated? Then, that could be a possibility too. That maybe if we go certain places together, I don't know, maybe the energy is more, maybe
Yeah,
because,
there's some kind of
I'm
connection there.
open-minded, he's open-minded, maybe too open-minded allows. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, these kind of things, you just got to sit there and you just trying to figure things out, like why,
When going back to your reenactment story, I just had this came to my mind. While you were there, did you guys touch or shake anybody's hands, or actually physically
yeah.
touching?
Yeah, my brother
That's
Arrowhead. We were
Yeah, the
sitting at the
Arrowhead guy.
fireplace where we shook the hands and said, "Hey, my name is Eric." Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Like I said, I wish my brother was here because I don't remember some of the names that the soldiers gave us, but they did tell us who they are, and they're with the 19th platoon, whatever, and my brother made up a number. I don't remember exactly what number he made up. We were with this platoon, but we're the only ones who survived, and all that. So yeah, we were talking, shook hands. They handed us these wood like mugs. They weren't glass mugs. They were like they made the mugs and all that.
Wow.
And we drunk it, and I remember making jokes like, "God, this beer's flat. This beer
Right.
doesn't taste like good beer." But
Hmm.
I was like, well, they make it back there, so they probably can't make it as good as a beer shop or beer factory, whatever. But they handed us beer. We had a bowl of stew. They gave us stew. That's where my brother see they did put potatoes in there. I go, yeah, but that potatoes
All
don't
right.
come from. But she brought us. But so we ate their food. We had their most flattest beer, and I remember even joking like, dude, I think we had like 2 or 3 of these, and I don't even feel a buzz.
Oh,
Wow.
We couldn't even get drunk. So my brother's like, maybe it wasn't beer. Maybe they just, but
Mm.
I don't know. We couldn't get drunk or anything off their beer, anything. But no,
Man,
we
there's
ate,
so many
shook hands,
questions.
Yeah, I know. We're making more
Every
questions.
time you think about it, there's just something else that pops up when you talk about something. It's like, this is crazy. Like, I wonder how long it was still there after you guys left.
Yeah. Or did it just disappear once you went down the road?
See, that's what we'll never know.
Yeah.
We would never know. But if it was still there, how come no other person ever showed up?
Right.
Right.
That's crazy.
And I saw someone ask, who is your brother? Well, I guess we should explain who your brother is and his name.
Well, my brother, of course, Robert Wood. He has his own YouTube channel.
On every night.
His nickname is Dr. Wu because in the UK, a lot of people for whatever reason couldn't pronounce the wood properly, so they always say, "Hey Woo, hey Woo."
That's
And-
how
and-
the
and-
woo
and-
came from.
And since he knew so much about things that even over there they
Dr.
called him
Wu.
Dr. Wu because they couldn't say
Yeah.
wood, they said woo. So they kind of
Oh.
just adopted, you know what I mean? Like that nickname,
Yeah.
like it just kind of goes, got stuck in all that. And
Then Amber mentioned, he must have. I wonder if he has a YouTube channel.
yeah,
I see you
my
and
brother's,
Amber's show every time.
he's huge into the Mandela effect kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and it kind of makes sense in a lot of ways because
Oh,
I
no,
don't
he's
know
laughing
if people
now.
are believers in the Mandela effect or not. It doesn't matter. But where you have certain kind of memories of something different, and I can see why he's even really into it because what just happened to us really there. That's almost like a most major Mandela effect in the whole world where apparently anybody else goes there, it's just open grass. But we were there with people. I mean, talk about change right? Because like you said, how do we know? We technically don't know if other people did go there, but they were in the normal timeline.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah,
we were
'cause-
here,
Yeah.
and then we got in our cars and left, and then everything like opened up.
So if you guys went
we still
through a
don't
time
understand-
lapse,
we still don't understand why, even when we leave, and the only reason why we're more into saying it's got to be something to do with time travel, because if it was ghost and it was based on all that energy, that will not explain the time difference.
Right.
Time should be 4 or 5 hours. When we left, felt like, and we looked at our clocks, we were there for 45 minutes. So where did that 3 and 4 hours go? There was no UFOs. There was no alien ships. We weren't abducted.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we were more in line. Is we had to step somehow in the portal stuff, and somehow when we left, it put us back at a time, like just 45 minutes after the whole thing.
Yeah, so if you went into a time lapse, if you went into another dimension, let's say timeline, then your time in while you're in there at the Civil War reenactment was only time during that timeline. It wouldn't be in ours. So that makes sense that you'd only be gone 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you remember saying goodbye to them? Saying, well, thank you, bye. It's time for us to go.
Well, yeah, like I said, the video I made, got up, said, all right, guys, we got to get back to our platoon or something. Like, we got to go back our platoon. We're going to go over there because apparently they're all going to be meeting up. I don't even know exactly how they said it. We're going to be meeting up. So we have to leave. And they said, all right, man, don't get yourself killed. Protect yourself best you can and all that. And, we got in our vehicles and left, and they all stayed. Nobody else followed us. We just walked, got into the cars. We waved at everybody, and off we went.
Wow.
Like nothing. Like nothing. Like I said, the next day, they didn't think nothing of it until my brother came home from Smithsonian and said the whole thing. That's where, the only thing that was tripping us out was nobody showed up. Nobody showed up, and just the time lapse, the 45. But nothing that it was real or fake never even came up until next day of work when he came home from work to tell us. That's where no. And let me tell you guys something. When you hear something like that, in your brain, you can't accept that.
Right.
You cannot accept that because I've always said it's easier to believe something when you can't really see it. When you see through like a ghost, that's more believable. But when you see flesh and blood, and there's only been a few times, for example, I told this to people on my channel before, like when my wife, when I was at a hospital in Seattle, and we had to go, we were on the 3rd floor, and there's only 4 floors there. We had to go down the 2nd floor because there's some blood work you got to do. So we had to go to a different floor. And I remember we're walking when there was 3 elevators, and we're waiting, and one of the elevators open, but the arrow pointed up. And I saw this guy, red jacket. I mean, human, just like you and I.
Right.
Went right into the elevator. The elevator shut. The light went down arrow and opened just right back up. Only 2-3 seconds. Oh, I guess he's going down now. We walk inside. No body was there. No person.
Wow. Oh my God.
And my wife was looking at her phone. Now my wife was looking at her phone. She was looking at this because she has to go to work right after the blood work. I go, honey, where's the guy go? He's like, what guy? The guy who just
what guy?
Just she goes, it probably went up and down. What, in 2 seconds? I go, reopen. And then a couple weeks ago, my son and his wife had a baby, and we went there, and I think we were in the waiting room. I went into the waiting room with my son to get some coffee. He had a long day, and there was a person sitting in a chair. We went, pour coffee, turned around, body's gone.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
wow.
A real life person, and it did not walk across because this stuff happened in seconds. So there's been a few times that, I've seen real life thing, but just disappeared. And I'm just, but hospital, I'm just thinking there's a lot of energy there, a lot of energy. Hospitals is there. And I used to work for a company that we used to deliver medical supplies, wound vac machines. And sometimes my workers, if they're on vacation, all that, I got to make deliveries. So, I've gone to almost every hospital in the northern part of Seattle, talking to patients and all that, and hearing stories where they thought they just saw their their mom, their uncle, their aunt over and over again. So, and not all these people are making things up. They're not all on medications where sometimes, science will say, well, they're probably not. No, there's too many of them. And they see in full details of what they saw. And I'm thinking of myself seeing bodies that I saw in full details. So I know there's truth into people seeing things that was just too damn real, even when they realize that the person's not there. Like the day before my father passed away in the hospital, he died on Memorial Day, but we didn't know that. And when we walked in there, he said he would just talk to his mom and dad. They were just right there. He said they were just right there, because I'm not joking, guys. I'm not on medication. Well, I mean, he's on like medicine in the chair, and then the next day he went under. So
I say this to Jane quite a bit. If you go like to a big city, just say like Chicago, New York, you got thousands of people, hundreds just walking by you every day. Well, how do you know those people are actually real people walking by you? Because you have no interactions with them. I mean, is it like a non-player person?
Oh, yeah, like another residual energy type thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're right. I don't really think about that. Like, how many people you see, are they all actual flesh and blood?
Right. I mean, are they from our timeline, somebody else's timeline? I mean, you never know. Just like your reenactment, you could be walking by people that are in a different timeline and never know it because you don't interact with them or follow them and see what their life's like or what they're doing.
This might sound weird. There's nothing. I guess we're on a show, right? Nothing's really weird. There's a Target in town called Tukwila. We always go to this Target, and every time I'm in this freaking Target, they should be sponsoring this channel right now, anyway, because we're talking. This free publicity for Target.
Yeah, come on, Target.
And every time, I'm not joking. So many times I'm there, and my wife's pushing the cart. I'm looking down an aisle. She's gone. And she's on the other side of the store. So many times. And it only happens at this Target. I don't know why. I'm like, what the hell is with this Target? How come I feel like I'm walking with somebody and then I can't find that person? And not just ahead of 3-4 aisles. I'm talking about on the other side of the store. I'm walking at like where how'd you get over here? We were just walking over there. So, no, we weren't. You took off. You know what I mean? And it always felt like it always happened just at this one store, Target. I'm always thinking, does Target have a portal or something?
Get your phone out and videotape it next time.
Have you ever heard any of the stories where people go to like gas stations or restaurants and they go to the restroom and they never come back out? I mean, there is stories like that where people go into the restroom and then nobody ever comes back out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe there's a good reason why they disappeared, right? They were just in the bathroom.
Yeah.
They created their own portal.
I mean, it just makes you wonder. You never know if you're going to walk through a door where you're actually going to or where you're going to be.
You gonna say a portal pot?
A portal pot.
Portal party, huh? No, that's true. That's true. Only thing I always tell people, just got to keep yourself open-minded to everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe everything you hear. You don't have to accept everybody's story and all that. But I just say, just keep it open-minded because you never know if something might happen to you. And maybe by listening to myself or anybody else, like, is this really happening? Maybe you had that thought because you heard somebody else telling almost a similar story, Or
Yeah,
how
if
many
it
other
was
people have similar stories that not everybody wants to go on a YouTube channel to talk about it. And it's not like
Right.
Mhm.
CNN, Fox News are going to talk to real people like ourselves, you know. They're going to talk to Jeremy Corbells and people like them. They're never going to
Yeah.
talk to
Right.
people like us. So there's so many
Yep.
people like us that have these stories that nobody's listening, or they feel like nobody's going to listen to.
Well, if it's just you or just your brother, you would have people kind of questioning it. But with this story, it's both of you. You know, you kind of each have like an eyewitness and you both experienced something. So it's a little more, what do we say, believable in a way?
Yeah, and you know that's what we said. You know, when we talk about like the Bigfoot encounter when we were kids. You know, there was a total of 11 of us. There was 11, and that's why we all know for sure what we saw was a Bigfoot because all 11. There was like no questions in anybody's mind. It wasn't just one
Wow.
person. You know, like you said, it was more than us that saw something, and that's better because if it was just me and somehow I learned there was something there, you're right. It'll probably be worse going through it by yourself because there's nobody else to discuss it. Now, my
Yeah.
brother, like you said, sometimes we can sit there and talk about things like I'm actually tonight. See, it's 5:27 my time, 7 o'clock on my channel. I'm releasing just a video, kind of like the Gettysburg one on our Bigfoot encounter, and a more of an updated one because my brother and I interview our other cousins on some of the things that they said happened the day before we saw the Bigfoot.
Oh,
You know,
Oh, nice.
part of a story, like when my cousin went out in the went to use the bathroom out there, and he heard and a rock was thrown by him, and he thought at the time it was one of us playing jokes, like throwing rocks. You know, you're kids, you know,
Mhm.
going
right.
bathroom, that scared the hell out of him. But nobody did that, you know. So, like you said, when you get people together and you get to really bring things like, oh wow, what you said there does make sense now within the story of our sighting. But things that you don't think of during that time, like you know, you go in the mountains all the times, you know, you hear knocking all the time, but a Bigfoot knock is a little bit different than the average kind of knock that you hear. And then when you like hearing stories like, you know, my brother said, you know, I heard 3 knockings when we were just
Hmm.
walking this trail down Poison Meadows. So when you start getting people together and you learn like, man, this story is bigger than it really is. There were signs of things leading up to the possible sightings like it was meant to happen.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
so people that experience things all by themselves, yeah, I got a feel for them because there's like nobody that can really talk to about themselves
Right.
Right.
and all that. And maybe I should one day write a book, you know. I want to be
There
like
you
our
go.
friend Amber Perrow. You know, she
Yep.
wrote a book, The Dead and Me, which is a
I got that
fantastic
book
book.
too.
Yep. Amber's in
Yep.
chat right now.
Yeah,
Yep.
Amber, this
I
is your
got that
book.
book.
She even
Amazing
she even
book.
signed
Everyone
it.
needs to
She
get it.
signed her book for me.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
She's awesome.
Nice. But yeah, maybe
She's
you and your
awesome.
brother should sit down and just, even if it's not a book, but write down all your details you can remember so you don't forget or it's, it's lost one of these days.
True. But the best
Just
thing is
notes.
we know what we
Hmm.
saw. We know, you know, what's real or not. Kind of like when
Right.
somebody told us about like our Bigfoot sighting, like, you know, the best thing for a person to heal is you got to first admit on what you saw.
Hmm.
First admit it. Tell yourself, you know, you saw it. Don't make any excuses. Don't try
Right.
to find because so many years you're trying to find so many reasonings on
Right.
how and what happened. And listen, I was a supervisor for a cable company, so I wasn't on drugs, people. I wasn't on drugs. And at the time, my brother was working for Smithsonian. You know, you had to get tested. So
Mm.
there was no chemicals altering the brain during that time and all that. Now, I can't say that now for my brother. He's probably had thumped a lot of materials out there.
He would never do such a thing on air.
Nah, he just likes his beer. He's a beer guy
And burping.
and all that. So,
Well, Eric, we've reached the hour and a half mark. I think it'll be a
Wow.
good time to end it, and we'll just have to have you back and tell some other story.
oh yeah, yeah. Anytime you guys want me to come back, I could go over the Bigfoot story again, on that
Yeah,
site
that would
and
be
all that.
great.
But thank you guys for inviting me. This is fun, and I love seeing everybody in the chat look like they're enjoying it, having a fun time and all
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I lost control of the chat and I didn't really pull anybody up or anything, but I was so involved in the Civil War story, I didn't want to miss anything.
Garrett, you never need to apologize because when I do my show, sometimes you get so involved in the story or
Yeah.
talking about something, and everybody's got something that they wanted to say, and you're missing it, and you get people in the chat like, Eric, did you not see my chat before? No, I did it. I can't like listen
Right.
and
Right.
look because when you're looking and reading, you can't concentrate on the story 100%.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is hard. It is hard, but no, seriously, thank you both for inviting me on. I had a great time.
Oh, it was a pleasure having you. I mean, thank you again for coming on our show. Don't go away because we'll talk to you afterwards, but we'll just say goodbye to everybody now, and you
Sure.
can tell everybody
All right.
once again your channel and stuff and how to get a hold of you. And
Yeah, everybody in the chat, just on YouTube, you can just type in Paranormal Highway. You'll see I'm like the first name up there. Just go in there, and in every show I do, in the description, there's links to everything. And again, in an hour and a half, I'm dropping an updated version of the Bigfoot story of our encounter. So that's going to be dropped in an hour and a half. If anybody wants to check that out, it's only like 5 minutes long, but it kind of a good way because I know that a lot of people learn sometimes. Yeah, we could tell stories, but a lot of people like to see visuals, kind of like that Gettysburg video on. It makes them understand it a little bit more. So check out that Bigfoot video tonight, and with the visuals, you might understand it more. That's it.
Yeah.
all right.
And we will see everyone this Wednesday night, probably 11 Central again for our Night Owl Lounge. That's when we have no guests and we just hang out with you guys and just enjoy the chat until 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it goes-
usually.
Sometimes it goes like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, everyone's up that night, at that time of night. I mean, our chat blows up in the middle of the night. So yeah,
Why
we'll
not?
see everyone Wednesday night. And thank you so much for joining us. And we love each and every one of you. If I can see my heart there. There you go. All right.
Uh-oh.
We lost us. What happened? Oops.
No,
Oops.
it'll come back.
Oh, there we are. Hey,
I
we
was
went
posing. I was posing.
poof. Yeah, we
For,
went poof.
for whatever reason, my Elgato camera times out.
Oh my.
Then if I just click out the software, then it comes right back on.
My
Anyway.
goodness. All right.
I knew there'd be a glitch in the matrix before we ended this show.
Right. All right. Well, we will see everyone
All right.
Wednesday. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Love you all.
Love you all.
Keep looking up.
Yes. And raise your vibrations.